Hey guys, how's it going? It's Baggins here, and today we are going to be talking about the Brimstone Sands, and in particular, things that you might want to have ready for the Brimstone Sands expansion. I've seen a bunch of people coming into Twitch chat and YouTube and also on the Twitter, and they're saying like, hey Baggins, I'm just hopping back into New World. I'm excited for the big expansion. Is there any like tips or tricks or anything you want to like mention that I should have ready to fully enjoy the Brimstone Sands experience? And to which I've been saying yes. And in fact, I think I should probably make a video on it because I have like a sort of checklist in my head of things that we want to go over. The Brimstone Sands is a level 60 plus, so it is a like end game zone, and there is quite a few new like end game items coming with the Brimstone Sands as well. So without further ado, let's jump into our checklist for like things you should have ready for the Brimstone Sands expansion. So the first thing that probably goes without saying is you should be level 60. If you're not like max level, then you're not really going to be able to enjoy the Brimstone Sands all too well. As we previously mentioned, it is a level 60 plus zone. Some people ask me about tips when it comes to leveling in the game. To them, I would defer you to this sort of section here. So if you go to your attributes by pressing K on the keyboard, and then you go to attributes, you can find view leveling rewards just down here behind my camera, and in here it gives you a sort of a level guide of where you want to be for each area. So level 50, Eden Grove Ebon Scale, level 30 through to 40, it's Weaver's Fen, and so on and so forth. Now the leveling experience is going to get quite a bit better in the Brimstone Sands, but if you want to be ready, again, level 60 before it comes out would be the ideal. Next thing that you want to have ready is your expertise or your armor as well. So these numbers here next to your armor, when you just hit level 60, these will say 500. Ideally, you want to get them to 600 or higher. For a full explanation on how to do that and why that's important, I'm going to put a video at the end of this one and also in the description down below, which explains the importance of leveling up your gear score and how to do it fast or effectively. But in short, if you don't have 600 gear score, or at least like 590 plus expertise, it's going to be much harder to get legendaries to drop. And you want those legendaries because first of all, they look cool. Second of all, they've got 3 perks as opposed to the 2 which you get on epics, and you know, 3 perks is better than 2 perks in most cases. The next thing we're going to recommend for the checklist comes down to trade skills. In particular, I think there are 2 important trade skills that you want to have maxed out or close to maxed out, and that is weaponsmithing. I recommend you get your weaponsmithing to at least 180, and I'm still on the road to doing that myself. And also your stone cutting, which is just down here behind the camera. Stone cutting, I also recommend that you have at 180 or higher. Why would you want to do this? Well, that's because there's there's a bunch of new items coming in, but 2 new items in particular that are going to be very powerful. You can see them here on New World Database, and again, we'll have a link to this in the description down below. They are the Heart Gem Runes, which you can see here, and we have a dedicated video to these explaining what they are. Again, links in the description down below at the end of the video, but you know, we'll just go on with this one for now. And also the Rune Glass Gems. Now, we haven't talked too much about these, but these are very, very powerful. And you can see if we go in and dive a bit deeper onto the Rune Glass Gems, you can see it requires stone cutting skill level 180 to actually like put the 2 together. But to make the individual sort of rune glass itself, it is weaponsmithing 180. So yeah, weaponsmithing and stone cutting are both going to be important to make these rune glass gems. And if we just mouse over a few of them here, if I go back a few pages, you can see that some of these, like the is it the energizing one? Yeah, this one's pretty nuts. So if you imagine this was like elemental damage absorption. In fact, let's just go down so we can give like the best example. Diamonds are pretty good. Diamonds always nice. Physical and elemental damage absorption if you socket it into your armor, and you also gain 8 stamina with each successful hit. So you can imagine if you got 5 of these in your armor, that's 40 stamina with every single swing of the hatchet or whatever, which goes without saying. That is bonkers strong. I'm not actually sure if these are gonna stack, but if that is the case, weaponsmithing, stone cutting, you got to get those to 180. You will be able to buy these and trade them on the trading post, but I think being able to make them yourself so you don't get ripped off too much is probably going to be the best way to go about it. One of the very powerful item that's coming in with the Brimstone Sands expansion is these heart runes here. Now again, I did mention we have a dedicated video to explaining this, and we'll put a link to that, as I mentioned, description down below, end of the video. But the heart runes, they do a variety of different things. The most powerful ones in my opinion are the stone form and the grass grasping vines rune. Those are going to be the ones that I look to get. But in order to make these, you're going to have to work your way up through this sort of progression level. So you can see down here, we've got these blue ones. You can farm these out from, in particular, the grasping vines. This comes from Genesis, but you can also craft it if you have enough materia. You need 8,000 Genesis materia, which is, again, a pretty steep amount. And I do think Amazon might change some of these numbers, but maybe start stockpiling your Genesis materia if you don't want to go in and just run Genesis, although maybe the drop rate hopefully is pretty high. And the same with the other one that we're interested in, which is the stone farm room. This comes from Lazarus, the final boss of Lazarus, Chardis, you know, the most boring boss in the game. And again, this one can be crafted for another 8,000 materia. But the thing that we also want to encourage you guys to stockpile, because you can just farm these, but these ones you will have to craft the upgrade for, and crafting the upgrade is going to set you back quite a few materials. So the materials that in particular that you do want to have saved are umbral shards. You're going to need 10,000 umbral shards if, like me, you want to make both the major version of the grasping vines and the major version of the stone farm. They both require the same thing here. So 10,000 umbral shards, because we're getting 5,000 from this one. And if we go over to the stone farm room, you can see here in the crafting recipe, it's another 5,000 here. And you've also noticed the rune stone as well, 25 rune stones. That is a sort of legendary material that you can make at the stone cutting bench, and that requires 200 stone cutting. You can buy these as well, so whether you buy them or craft them, it is something that you want to get stockpiled, so you're going to need at least 50 there, 10,000 umbral shards, and 10 corrupted lodestones. So this is stuff I've started sort of stockpiling in a particular storage shed, and I'll show you guys that in a second. But the materials required goes up even higher, because now we're looking at the legendary versions here. In particular, I think the brutal version is the best out of these sort of different versions of the grasping vines. So in order to make the brutal version, we look at the crafting recipe. It requires 10 ruby gypsum and 10 garnet gypsum for this one here. So stockpiling some gypsum is a good idea. As I mentioned, I have been putting stuff in First Light, so we've got a little bit of a stockpile going here. Ruby gypsum comes from Outpost Rush, so you can get up to 2 of these a day just by competing in 2 games of Outpost Rush, and you can get up to 2 garnet gypsum a day from competing in PvP Arena. Now, both of these can be earned even if you lose the game, so don't worry, you don't have to be like an absolute PvP beast in order to get these. The garnet gypsum, however, has a 50% chance of dropping or like being rewarded if you lose Arena, whereas if you lose an Outpost Rush, you're still 100% guaranteed to get one of these, provided you weren't like AFK the whole game. You should have enough score to get these. So yeah, ruby gypsum twice a day, garnet gypsum twice a day from Arena, and you want to get probably about 20 of these in total. Now, looking at the stone farm room, which is one that I'm going to be targeting, this one requires 10 emerald gypsum and another 25 rune stone, so we're actually up to 75 rune stone now. So in general, just start stashing lots of rune stone away, and also emerald gypsum is mentioned here as well. So you may have seen in this sort of bit that we were talking about before, emerald gypsum, you can only get 1 of these a day, and this is gained from aptitude. So every time you level up a trade skill past 200, you can see I've done a little bit with my mining, so just like going out and mining some orichalcum every day gets you quite a bit of extra XP, and every time ding a full level, you will get an emerald gypsum. So stockpiling emerald gypsum, 20 of those, stockpiling garnet gypsum, 20 of those, and stockpiling ruby gypsum, 20 of those is a good idea. And on top of that, you can see down here, we're also going to need some gypsum orbs as well. So I'm recommending like roughly around 10 gypsum orbs is a good idea to save up in order to make these upgrades for these powerful heart runes. The last thing to focus on when it comes to crafting or gathering or refining, as far as I'm aware currently, is mining. Now, if you want to mine a new material that's going to be coming in with the Brimstone Sands called sandstone, and you will want to mine this for a variety of different reasons, you will need mining level 105. So yeah, these are used to make the rune glass and a bunch of other cool things as well. So mining at least 105. In general, I think it's probably a pretty good idea to just go ahead and get as many of your gathering skills above 100, even close to 200 if you can. I'm going to try and get everything to 200 before I can go for the Brimstone Sands, but whether you want to do that or not is going to be up to you. But in particular, to recap, it's weaponsmithing, stone cutting, and mining seem to be the most important things to make the new items coming with the expansion. Now, the last couple things that I would recommend you have ready for with the Brimstone Sands is some gypsum orbs, and that is because we want to make a gypsum cast for the two-handed greatsword. It's like, now I assume with the blunderbuss and with the void gauntlet, they both came in and you had to like level up the expertise for them, so you had to get them to drop over and over again, but you can sort of get a little bit prepared. We can't make the cast right now, but if you have a few sort of infused orbs ready to go, as well as some like normal gypsum orbs, then you'll be able to make 2 casts every day. So you can see here, I can make a Void Gauntlet cast with an infused orb, and then I can go ahead and make another Void Gauntlet cast here with a gypsum orb as well. So there's 2 different types of casts we can make, and in order to get these, you'll need to just do the normal gypsum stuff, but then you'll also need to salvage stuff to get the fragments for them as well. So yeah, preparing a few infused orbs and gypsum orbs. Don't actually make them into casts, but have them ready to make into the greatsword casts. Final thing to have prepared, in my opinion, and this is only if you're a bit more PvE orientated or you just want to jump in and check out the new dungeon. This isn't completely mandatory, but if you want to take on the Ennead, which is one of the new expeditions coming with the Brimstone Sands expansion, I recommend having a set of ancient ward gear, so getting ancient ward on at least 4 pieces of armor, and also having a set of corrupted ward gear as well. So you can see corrupted ward here. The reason behind this is the Ennead is split, so it's like sort of 50-50. The first half of it is ancient and the second half of it is corrupted. And if you want to go through and make the runs as smooth as possible, I think having ancient ward to like reduce the incoming damage and then corrupted ward to reduce the incoming damage on the second half will make the runs that much smoother. All right, guys, so that is my quick checklist for the Brimstone Sands expansion. If we have anything more to add, we'll either make a second video and link that in the comments down below, or I'll just have a pinned video at the bottom as well. If you guys have any other recommendations for other players that are checking out this video, you want to give them any tips and tricks, feel free to leave a message in the comments down below. And as always, guys, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you go ahead, click the like button, subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys all in the next video.